beneath the shadow of thy loving kindness. I am a tender plant, cause me to be nurtured through the outpourings of the clouds of thy bounty. I am a sapling in the garden of love, make me into a fruitful tree. Thou art mighty and powerful, thou art the all-loving, the all-knowing, the all-seeing.
O God, refresh and glad my spirit, purify my heart, illumine my powers. I lay all my affairs in thy hands, thou art my guide and my refuge. O God, I will no longer be sorrowful and grieved, I will be a happy and joyful being. O God, I will no longer be full of anxiety, nor will I let trouble harass me. I will not dwell on the unpleasant things of life. O God, thou art more friend to me than I am to myself. I dedicate myself to thee, O Lord.
Blessed is the spot and the house and the place and the city and the heart and the mountain and the refuge and the cave and the valley and the land and the sea and the island and the meadow where mention of God has been made and his praise glorified.
Unto thee be praise, O Lord my God. I beseech thee, by thy most great name, who hath been shut up in the prison town of Acco, and who, as thou beholdest, O my God, hath fallen into the hands of his enemies, and is threatened by the swords of the wicked doers, to make me steadfast in his cause, and to direct mine eyes continually towards his court, in such wise that nothing whatsoever will have the power to turn me back from him. I testify, O my Lord, that he hath surrendered his life in thy path, and hath wished for himself nothing but tribulation in the love he beareth to thee. He hath endured all manner of vexations, that he may manifest thy sovereignty unto thy servants, and exalt thy word amidst thy creatures. As the adversities deepened, and the troubles sent down by thee compassed him on every side, he became so impassioned by his thought of thee, that the hosts of all them that had disbelieved in thee, and repudiated thy signs, ceased to affright him. I implore thee, O my Lord, by him, and by whatsoever pertaineth unto him, to set my affections upon him, even as he had set his own affections upon thyself. I testify that his love is thy love, and his self is thy self, and his beauty thy beauty, and his cause thy cause. Deny me not, O my Lord, what is with thee, and suffer me not to be forgetful of what thou didst desire in thy days. Thou art verily the Almighty, the most exalted, the all-glorious, the all-wise.
O my God, thou seest me in my lowliness and weakness, occupied with the greatest undertaking, determined to raise thy word among the masses and to spread thy teachings among thy peoples. How can I succeed unless thou assist me with the breath of the Holy Spirit? Help me to triumph by the host of thy glorious kingdom, and shower upon me thy confirmations, which alone can change a gnat into an eagle, a drop of water into river and seas, an atom into lights and suns. O my Lord, assist me with thy triumphant and effective might, so that my tongue may utter thy praises and attributes among all people, and my soul overflow with the wine of thy love and knowledge. Thou art the omnipotent, and the doer of whatsoever thou willest.
Proclamation. Whereas science and technology have made the world a neighborhood, and whereas the family is the basic foundation of our society, and whereas the United Nations has proclaimed 1994 as the International Year of the Family, and whereas on April 30th, 1994, the Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of Pompano Beach will host a family reunion, the purpose of which is to recognize and acknowledge the oneness of the family, human family under God. Now therefore it be proclaimed by the Honorable E. Pat Larkins, Mayor of the City of Pompano Beach, Florida, that on behalf of the citizens of this city, the Mayor does hereby express his gratitude and appreciation to the Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of Pompano Beach for their valuable contributions to furthering the awareness of the oneness of the human family and thereby enriching the lives of our citizenry, and in recognition of the above, does hereby declare Saturday, April 30th, 1994 as Family Reunion Day in Pompano Beach, Florida, and urges all to resolve on this day to promote in themselves and in the community those qualities and attributes that will generate the recognition of the oneness of the human family in our city and our world neighborhood. Signed and sealed this 29th day of April, 1994. I've got a whole list of messages here, but I'm going to make them as short as I can. Everybody needs to wear their name tags whenever they're in any of the organized talks. There's plenty of travel teaching cards out there. Everybody needs to sign a travel teaching card. There's a box provided that you can put them together and we'll mail them back in. We want to make sure we can make that goal. The bookstore is open. The distribution center has a wonderful bookstore. If you haven't been there yet, go down and see all the latest books. And we're proud to present one of the nicest bazaars that you're ever going to see. Some really unique things from all over the country by Baha'i artists. We also have out there, Joanne Swanes has put together a family album of the people in Florida. So stop by and take a look at it. Also a World Congress album that Denise put together. There's a lot of declaration cards in both English and Spanish back there. If we have somebody that declared one for this day, have them sign the card and then have them find somebody from Pompano so that we can make sure it's taken care of. We're going to have plenty of visitors tonight. I hope there's so many visitors that the Baha'is can't get in here. That would make me happy. Picnic tickets are for sale out in the lobby. They're $3 a piece for tomorrow. Baha'i has put together a fun run. A lot of the people that's involved with are looking for sponsors. Rochelle Parmeter from the youth organization is going to be speaking today. Somebody's doing back massages back out there in the front, $10 a back. There's a guest book, if everybody would sign your guest book so that we know who's here. Everything that comes in as far as donations is going to be for the art project. None of the operating expenses will be out of that. That's all from a different fund. We've had a couple of problems that the people here have told me about behavior with some of the children. We all need to be one family. If you see a child that's doing something, make sure that it's not something that's going to hurt themselves or hurt the building. We can help each other and help control the children. Choir practice will be right here on this stage at 12:15. As you can see, we have a video crew over here that's going to be filming today and tomorrow. They might ask you to go into a little room and ask you some questions. If you feel like being on TV, please do it. They're trying to develop some stock footage so that we can put together a film from this weekend and also have it available for some other mediums. And we'll be asking you to sign a release on that. Our host this morning is Marcia Lample, and we'll get started.
Good morning. Allahu Akbar. It is my privilege and pleasure this morning to introduce our speaker, Ms. Jan Smith, who will be talking to us about the paradigm shift. Ms. Smith works at the Baha'i International Community at the United Nations. And it's also our very special pleasure to be able to wish her a very happy birthday as well also. Jan.
Good morning. What a wonderful, wonderful privilege to be here and be part of this family reunion. And truly, this is my family. And I feel particularly privileged to be the kickoff speaker this morning. And I hope what I can do is sort of at least offer some thoughts that will set a context for what you're going to hear through the rest of the day. And I think in the program it says the title of my talk is The Paradigm Shift, which sounds like it might be terribly intellectual, but you're safe. It won't. Really, what it is I want to share with you my sort of some ways of looking at the oneness of humanity, the challenge of building a new world order, and the shift from the old world to the new world. Some ideas that have helped me to be safe in the process of learning how to be a part of the New World Order. So I want to start with a quote from Shoghi Effendi. He says, "Let there be no mistake. The principle of the oneness of mankind, the pivot round which all the teachings of Baha'u'llah revolve, is no mere outburst of ignorant emotionalism or an expression of vague and pious hope. Its appeal is not to be merely identified with the reawakening of the spirit of brotherhood and goodwill among men, nor does it aim solely at the fostering of harmonious cooperation among individual peoples and nations." And this is the part I want you to really listen to. It says, "Its implications are deeper, its claims greater than any which the prophets of old were allowed to advance. Its message is applicable not only to the individual, but concerns itself primarily with the nature of relationships that must bind all the states and nations as members of one human family. It does not constitute merely the enunciation of an ideal, but stands inseparably associated with an institution adequate to embody its truth. It implies an organic change in the structure of present-day society, a change such as the world has not yet experienced." Okay, so what I want to really talk about is, what is this organic change that the world has not yet experienced? And what are the implications for us, for our community, and for our families? One of the things that I've found personally that has interfered very often with my own spiritual growth and my own development has been the belief that once I accepted the principle of the oneness of humanity, once I accepted Baha'u'llah as the manifestation of God for this day, that then I was supposed to have it all together, you know? And I find myself sometimes in the embarrassing position that Charlie Brown experienced when he said, "I love humanity. It's people I can't stand." And and that's a hard thing to accept when you're a Baha'i. You say, I love humanity, I've accepted everybody as my family, the whole world as my family. And you make me nuts. So, and I really struggled with that a lot and did a lot of dysfunctional things so that I didn't have to look at that, didn't have to think about it, But when I really started getting serious about, for example, dealing with the issue of racism, when I got serious about dealing with the equality of men and women, I was privileged to serve for 3 years on the Baha'i National Committee on Women. And of course, one of the wonderful things about this faith is that, we're all just sort of garden variety folks, and we kind of get plucked up and we say, you go do this. And when that happens, then what you do is you start doing your homework really fast. And you read every book you can find, and you really start praying about it, and you really start studying the writings. I didn't bring my compilation on women up here, but it is dog-eared. We're talking, this is a shameful looking book, but it's because once I had some kind of responsibility for trying to help the Baha'i community understand what is this principle of the equality of men and women, and how in the world does it promote unity? Most people have experienced things like this Time magazine, are men really that bad? For a lot of people, this is what equality is about. Let's beat up on the men. Let's make them feel rotten, And somehow I had a sense that really wasn't what Baha'u'llah was getting at. But it was, so one of the wonderful, wonderful books I ran across in my intensive study was a book by a woman named Rianne Eisler called The Chalice and the Blade. And it purports to be a gender holistic analysis of human history, which means that it is not only history but herstory. And she goes all the way back to the beginning and looks at really mythological evidence and early archaeological evidence, and she postulates that, first of all, there are only 2 ways to organize society. 2 ways. The dominator model or the partnership model. So if you've got a dominator model, somebody's on top, somebody's on the bottom. It doesn't really matter who's on top, who's on bottom. You can do all the switching you want, and you still got the same model. And I think a lot of, what we've done in the women's movement, and a lot of the way people see the women's movement, is just shifting from, men being on top, now the women are on top. Now you've had your chance, now it's ours, And according to Rianne Eisler, that's no big change. Same old, same old, same old. But the partnership model, she postulates that at the very beginning of prehistory, that it's possible that there were really partnership societies. Societies in which the roles of men and women were balanced, where both were equally valued, a lot of the roles were interchangeable, and they worked together in harmony and cooperation. And then that all of recorded human history is really the history of the dominator model. The warrior societies came in and destroyed all these peaceful, agrarian, harmonious societies, and that's pretty much what's been going on for the last several thousand years. Until now. And what she says is that the dominator model has run its course. That we've really gone as far as we can with the dominator model. The weapons of destruction have gotten bigger, more powerful, more destructive, and we've gotten more and more and more and more of them. So that a few years ago, we really were right on the verge of literally destroying the whole Earth, just with the possibility of some kind of a nuclear confrontation. And so the dominator model, if indeed the dominator model prevails, where you maintain the stability of society through the exercise of force, the weapons of force, the means of force have gotten so destructive that it goes over the edge. You know, everybody loses. So it goes from a win-lose game to a lose-lose. And as stuck as we are in our stuff, in our old way of doing things, we really don't want that. You know, we really don't want that. And so humanity has come up against the reality that it cannot pursue the dominator model any longer, and it must now shift to partnership. So that's where we are. Well, okay, I'd been a Baha'i for 10, 15 years by the time I read this book, and I went, oh my gosh, the old world order is being rolled up, a new one rolled out in its stead. The well-being of mankind, its peace and security are unattainable unless and until its unity is firmly established. Abdu'l-Baha talks about the world in the past was ruled by force, and men dominated over women by reason of their more forceful and aggressive qualities of body and mind. But the balance is already shifting, and the qualities of intuition, mental alertness, love, and the spiritual qualities of love and service in which women are strong will become more ascendant. And the society of the future, in the society of the future, the masculine and feminine will be more evenly balanced. That's what he was talking about. So for me, I started thinking about and reading more and more about the implications of the shift from a dominator model to a partnership model, and started looking at what that means for me. Because if, in fact, as Charlie Brown, I'm able to say I love humanity and still not be able to get it together to really love each individual, you know, then there's obviously some programming that went on, you know, that dominator model programming is in there. And so my obligation is to sort of flesh it out, get it out there, look at it, and decide if I want to keep it or I want to let it go, you know. And that's really, really the process of personal transformation and the transformation of society. Because as Shoghi Effendi said, its implications are deeper, its claims greater than any which the prophets of old were allowed to advance. This is new. Okay? There's not a reason in the world to think we should have it figured out yet. And he also says it implies an organic change in the structure of present-day society. So I started looking at, okay, what is this shift? Now let me talk about what a paradigm is. It's a way of viewing things. It's sort of a way of seeing an area, or in this case, the whole world. And I'll give you an example of a paradigm shift so you understand what we're talking about, this organic change such as the world has never seen before. Most of us here have experienced the shift from typewriters to computers, right? I see some nods of recognition. You know, that's a paradigm shift, okay? In office equipment, in office technology, the shift from the typewriter to the computer was a paradigm shift. Everything changed. One of the things about a paradigm shift is that when the paradigm shifts, and once it shifts, that's it, okay? You can hold on to your typewriter if you want to, but the rest of the world is on computers. I mean, so you make your choice, but the shift has taken place, right? Okay. So when the paradigm shifts, one of the things that happens is everything goes back to zero. All knowledge starts over from scratch. Okay? So if you were an expert typist, 60 words a minute, 90 words a minute, 2 errors, who cares? Doesn't matter, because now we're into computers. And if you don't know how to block text and move it around and stuff like that, it doesn't matter how many words you can type or how fast you are. You've been left behind. Okay? And that's not comfortable. You know, especially if you were really good at typewriters. You know, those of us who really were never very good at typewriters, we're really much more into the shift. Oh, great, because I can make all the mistakes I want, I can go back and fix them, you know. So the things that the typewriter really punished, you know, the computer rewards. You know, you can change that word 100 times. You can move the stuff around. I mean, and when you were on the typewriter, you started over, right? Okay, so even if you were an expert with the typewriter, you got to start over with the computer. But look at what the computer has brought us. You know, for all the pain. I mean, even those of you who were really great typists, you know, once you kind of let go of the typewriter, say, okay, and get into the computer, then it gets fun after a while. You know, and you kind of get into moving stuff around and making windows and, you know, really, all those kind of computer things you really can get into, but you got to let go of the typewriter. Okay, as long as you're hanging on to the typewriter, you're not going to have any fun. Okay? So, one of the things about shifting paradigms is that when you're empowered under the old paradigm, and in the case of men and women, men are really empowered under the old paradigm, at least in one, they seem to be. And in terms of race in this country, white folks seem to be empowered under the old paradigm. So the shift to the new is harder. Because you think you've got more to give up. You typed 60 words a minute, you never made an error. You really feel like you've got something invested, you know? But you have to understand that the shift is going to be more difficult, okay? And so, in a sense, for Baha'is, what I discovered for myself was that thinking of my own role in terms of the paradigm shift, I have a unique advantage because I'm a white woman.